Hey guys, what's going on? Sherman here. You know, I don't make these videos that often, but I have in the past, and you guys seem to enjoy them, where I just kind of rant a little bit about a specific subject and give my philosophies and point of views about it. So, I'm doing this on a story that I just read recently, and maybe some of you have heard it already, but I don't watch the news that often, so it's kind of rare for me to see these kind of stories just because I don't like it in my life. It's too much drama, it makes me angry, and then it makes me have to do videos like this where I rant to get it off my chest. But, so, apparently, Obama recently in a private lunch made this statement. If I think about it, I'll post a link to the story below. He said, and I quote, "Recent events in Milwaukee have shown me that the majority of Americans cannot be trusted to carry a firearm. These religion-clinging, gun-toting individuals must be brought into the 21st century. This is not the Wild West." Okay, so that sounds pretty hostile to me. So here's my takes on this. One, that is kind of attacking people who are religious. Now, it's not really attacking people who are religious. He's attacking Christians in particular. The only reason I say that is because he will go on, and I'm not trying to turn this into religious conversation, trust me, but he will go into one speech saying that he's Christian and talk about his beliefs and all that good stuff. Okay, but then in other comments and other press conferences and other statements, he's mocking Christianity, quoting, very, very loosely quoting scriptures from the Bible, and then basically, I forgot exactly what he said, but basically saying, how can people believe this and expect to be taken seriously? So, I mean, it's just a facade. That's the only thing I can assume, because he mocks Christianity in so many comments and so many interviews, and this is just another one. You know, these religion-clinging, gun-toting individuals. So he's basically referring to conservatives, people who are usually Christian, usually Baptist, and it's kind of an attack on them. It's kind of derogatory almost. And so, you know, but here again, you know, liberals are going to love that, because liberals, for the most part, just hate everything to do with anybody who are religious. They think it's ridiculous. And another thing, due to recent events, it shows that the majority of Americans can't be trusted with firearms. I know this is a very common liberal tactic to take one very, very specific incident and turn it into, this is the way the majority of people are, this is the way the majority of them are going to be, so the majority of them just can't be trusted. Because this one incident occurred where, I didn't read the story, honestly. Like I said, I don't watch the news. The gist of what I'm getting is apparently this high-speed shootout occurred, and in which these people that were involved in the shootout had concealed carry permits. Now, just because you have a concealed carry permit does not mean that you're exempt from committing crimes with a firearm. I know that. I know there are many irresponsible people who have a concealed carry permit. You know, they do stuff irresponsibly with guns. That doesn't mean you're going to be responsible. So, yeah, I get that. But here again, this is one very specific, isolated incident. It's the only that I've heard about in major news in a really, really long time. So to take this one event to say, recent events have shown me that the majority of Americans can't be trusted with firearms, you know, that's a huge insult, and it's just asinine. It really is a ridiculous comment to make. But like I said, liberals loved it because they already think the majority of Americans, or heck, all of Americans who own firearms are stupid, can't be trusted, they're rednecks. Pretty much like he's saying right here, just belittling anybody who is religious or has a carry permit. That's what they think. They think that they're above anybody who is religious, above anybody who carries a firearm, above conservatives. You know, that's just kind of the way that the majority of ones that I've seen seem to be anyway. And another thing, and here's the funny part that you're never going to really see on any kind of media, or I don't think anybody's going to bring up this very specific point, is that, okay, you want to really talk about who the majority of people you can't trust with a firearm. Okay, well okay, this was just a very specific isolated incident. This wasn't a mass shooting. Look at every mass shooting, and let's just say the past 5 years. Look at the majority of these mass shootings. What did they all have in common? Well, let's kind of go down the line here. Virginia Tech shooter. He was an Obama supporter, registered Democrat. Aurora, Colorado shooter, registered Democrat and Obama supporter. The Boston bombers, registered Democrats and Obama supporters. So to me, it really seems like the people that can't be trusted to carry a firearm are people who vote for the person claiming that the majority of Americans who are religious and carry guns can't be trusted with firearms. So, so this is the point that I really wanted to make, is that it really, if you really want to put people into a group and say these are the people you can't trust, it really seems like Democrats are the people you can't trust to own a gun. Considering, I mean, like I said, I don't think that statement's true, but I'm just saying, given that logic of this one incident, meaning the majority of Americans can't be trusted, let's just take these 3 major incidents that have happened recently and apply it to something. Something these people all had in common. They weren't religious at all. They were Obama-supporting Democrats who didn't have anything in common religiously, in terms of religious beliefs. I believe specifically, I remember hearing, I could be mistaken, but I thought I remember specifically hearing that the Virginia Tech shooter and Aurora, Colorado shooters were both well-known atheists. And I'm not saying anything against that either, but I'm just saying, like I said, if you want to take this group of people and say, these are the ones you can't trust, it seems to me that the majority of mass shooters happen to be Obama-voting Democrats. So, I guess we can't trust them. Like I said, these are the things that they just don't take into consideration. I just don't understand that. And here again, I know I've made these statements before in other ranting videos involving people who make strict firearm laws. Let's see how these states are doing that have strict gun laws. Let's look at Illinois. Let's look at New York. Let's see how they're doing with their strict gun laws. They have some of the highest murder rates from firearms in the whole country. So let's see how they're doing with their strict gun laws. New York City recently, I think it was today, I remember I read it today, just had the biggest illegal firearm seizure in its history because they have strict gun laws. I believe they said they were being trafficked, guns are being trafficked from North and South Carolina via the black market to New York City to be distributed among these gangs and the black market. I don't know how the black market operates, obviously, but the gist of the story and what I'm getting at here. So, further proves my point. You ban guns, it doesn't mean they're not going to still be getting in the hands of people who want to do bad things. And these are just the stories that I don't understand why you don't see these on CNN, why you don't see these on MSNBC. Well, I mean, I know why, I just don't understand it. I know they want to make people believe that, guns are stupid, they don't need to be in our society, and it's just that ignorance is bliss. That's all it is. They're all in their ignorant little bubble of, well, if guns kill people, if we ban guns, people will stop being killed. It's that very ignorant bubble. And these things, they're just too real for them. These people, I hate to put it like this, and to put it so blunt, but these people have no common sense and have no idea of reality. They just have absolutely no, what's the word I'm looking for? They're just reality challenged. That's all it is. They have no sense of what reality really is. It's just because I guess they just don't have the mental stability to deal with it. They don't have the mental stability to realize that reality is cruel. There are bad people in this world. You can't change it by doing anything. But like I said, they're all just on this bandwagon of, or bandwagon, as I like to say, of just ban this, ban that, and then all the problems involving this subject will go away. But that's not the case. It's just reality. But here again, they can't deal with it. They're just not mentally stable enough or mature enough mentally to understand that. Like I said, I hate to put it so blunt, but that is the only thing I can come up with. So, and also statistics that have been put out by the FBI and the DOJ, Department of Justice here in the United States. I'm just saying that if you're watching this and you live in Europe and whatnot. Gun crime is at its absolute lowest it ever has been in the past 25 years. I think it actually goes further than that. I think it's actually more like 35. But I know specifically it's at its lowest and it ever has been in the past 25 years. Well, then some people say, well, then how come, some people who are older say, well, how come I never saw anything about that on the media? Because gun crime has changed a lot. Back in the day, you may have had a lot of robberies involving shootings where you don't normally have that now. But when you do hear about firearm crimes, it is these mass shootings where people are going crazy. I think Joe Rogan put it perfectly. If you guys aren't familiar with who Joe Rogan is, Joe Rogan was a cage fighter, an MMA fighter, and what most people know him as, he went on to host Fear Factor. I love that show. But anyway, Joe Rogan put it perfectly, and I'm trying to remember the exact quote. I'll try to quote it verbatim. He said that America has a mental illness problem that the media is disguising as a gun problem. And I think that hits the nail on the head. We do have a severe mental illness problem in the United States and in many other countries all around the world. But the media is disguising it with it's guns that are the issue. No, these people just happen to have guns on hand. Or other weapons. I've heard plenty of other stories where people are beaten or decapitated, so that just completely throws that theory out the window. It's just you only see these stories that involve firearm crimes. Well, why is that? Because the media is probably 80% very liberal biased. CNN has gotten better. They're kind of, I would say they're more on the fence. MSNBC is just out there. I mean, they are way out in left field. But you still see that CNN is biased. You see all these other publications that are very liberal biased. And that's why. Obviously, if your beliefs are towards one way, you're only going to post stories or articles that relate to that particular belief and not post stories that contradict your belief. Sadly, that's the way the media works. That's just how it is. That's the way it pretty much always has been from what I understand. But it's gotten really, really bad in recent years. Like I said, reason being, I'm not one of those far-out conspiracy theorists to say, well, the media wants the public to be disarmed so that the government can take over. Is it a possibility? Well, I'm sure it is a possibility. It's happened in past with different countries, but I'm not saying if you believe that, then you're ignorant. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I don't personally believe that way. I think that's a little bit extreme to think at this point in time, and I'm not concerning myself with that. But I mean, the signs are there, so I'm saying to say that it's also not a possibility whatsoever, that's also ignorant. Because it is a possibility. Anything's possible. It really is in this day and age. Anything's possible. But back to what I was saying just a minute ago, gun crime is at its lowest that it has been in the past 25 years. And yet, right now, firearm sales and permit and concealed carry permit registrations are at the highest in this country's history. So, I mean, that one statistic alone, like I said, that's been proven by FBI statistics, DOJ statistics, and this has even been published in the New York Times, a very liberal publication. This has been posted by the New York Times, so even they're starting to get it. So this is what I don't understand about why a lot of these members in Congress don't get it. Well, honestly, I think they get it. They just don't bring attention to it. You know, they want guns banned as part of their agenda. It just is. They think it's asinine. And yeah, it does partly, I believe, have to do with control. Is it to control to, take over the United States? I don't really believe so. I don't believe they're that bad off. But I do think that, A, it's somewhat part of control, not so much to control the people, but to say, hey, we can pass these laws and change history. They want that kind of control. Also, another thing is that conservatives are pro-gun, so they're obviously going to be against everything that conservatives are for. They're just that childish. But I mean, conservatives, for the most part, are the same way. They're going to be against everything a liberal is for. And but I'm talking about members in Congress. I'm not talking about conservatives and liberals and average people. That's just kind of the way it is. That's how politics work. They're pretty much all ridiculous. But yeah, so the theory of more guns equals more crime, that statistic right there blows it out of the water. But I brought that up to a lot of people. I brought that up to liberals, and I brought that up to people who live in Europe, especially people who live in the UK. They will say that. I know I have a lot of UK viewers, but a lot of them are like, I'm speaking to you guys in particular. A lot of you are like us. You're pretty conservative in your thinking. You like firearms. You like knives. You like our freedom. But I've talked to a lot of people from the UK that are like, Americans and their guns, Americans and their religion. They're ridiculous. They're violent. Your crime rate is outstanding. Well, really, the UK's crime rate is much higher than that of the United States. It's just the crimes are different. But it doesn't really matter how they're different. Yours are still higher. Your gun crime may be slightly lower, and it actually may be around the same, but your crime rate is the same, if not higher. So here again, statistics have proven that also. And really, how can you look at this statistic of gun crime is at its lowest, yet gun sales are at their highest? How can you look at that and also say that America and their guns are so violent in our culture? When obviously it proves that more guns does not indeed equal more crime. So, it's just ridiculous, guys. I read that and it just flew all over me. The fact that he would be so blunt to say that and so crude, I guess. I really don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. I'm not the kind of person that just flat out insults people. And you guys know I don't cuss, and I don't like to just insult people. So really, calling them a name isn't on my mind right now. I know that it is with a lot of people. But it's just absurd. It really is. That is an extremely ignorant comment to say. And he's really just saying, I'm not for the American people. I am for liberals, and I'm going to do what liberals want to do. That statement right there just really drives that point home for me. That he is against people who are religious, especially Christians. He is against conservatives and every conservative belief. He is against everybody who is for the Second Amendment. And, like I said, just past comments have proven that he is against the American people. Well, he's against the conservative American people, and he is just going to strictly do what liberals and other Democrats want him to do. So, that's not what a president should be, you guys. That is not at all what it was supposed to be back 200 years ago. This is not the way it was supposed to be. So, like I said, I just wanted to mention that and to rant a little bit, like I said, to get it off my chest. I know you guys believe the same way I do, so I'm preaching to the choir, but I mainly just had to get that off my chest. So I appreciate you guys listening, and I'm going to go try to forget this ever happened, because, like I said, this stuff flies all over me. It just makes me very angry. Just the fact that it just takes very, very little common sense to understand the points that I just made and think, oh, well, yeah, I guess guns don't mean more crime. So, and I just don't understand how people can be so dense to not understand that. And even after presented with these straight up, unbiased facts, they still will argue to the death. So I just don't understand that kind of naivety, however you want to say it. I just don't understand being that naive about it. So, anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Don't let things like this get you down. That's another point I wanted to make. It is what it is. This stuff's always happened. People have always been anti-gun since the beginning of guns. It's just now that the government's really pandering to those people, and you're starting to see it. But like I said, don't let it get you down. There are still people in this world that will fight for our freedoms. It may look bleak right now, but don't give up hope, guys. Like I said, don't look at these kind of stories and think, well, America's all over with. We're all doomed. All our guns are going to be taken away, because that's not the case. At least not in any recent. It's not going to be anything recent. It's not going to be. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's not going to be soon. I'll put it that way. So, stay upbeat, guys. Stay positive, and above all, stay safe, stay sharp, and God bless. Sherman 614. Peace through superior firepower.